Hello, hello, everybody. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Glennis. First one in. Hey, Melanie. Glad you could be here. Your train book is coming along nicely. Awesome, awesome. How's everybody doing? So good to see you. Hey, Carrie. Hopefully you're feeling well. Throat, shoulder, all the things. Okay, we are live now. I know there's others that have messaged me that are coming in, but they'll get here as they get here. I'm really excited about today's project. Here's a sample. It's today's project. This is a book cover made from scraps of lace, doilies, fabric, all kinds of things. And you can see stitching on it. The stitching is purely for the looks. I used like a brown floss, embroidery floss, to stitch everything down, just generally to hold it down. Not a lot of hand sewing, just to stitch it, just mostly to get the look of that stitching over the top of all this stuff. So see that stitching, the brown stitching around there, just really to get the look. Also, I'll stitch those buttons on. There are some things actually that are glued down. I didn't really care about the stitching on that, just glued it down, or if something was flapping around. See that little sari silk is stitched down right there. If something was flapping around and I didn't want it flapping around, I just put a little glue underneath it. There's some super, super old, that's like from 100-year-old lace piece. And then there's some, much newer stuff. New, old, sari silk, fabric, lace, ribbon, doilies, they all work. All those little scraps and odds and ends, and you make stuff, you've got little scraps sitting around, and what do you do with them? So we're going to make this book cover today. And then I put the book cover onto a book cover. You can either put it onto a book cover, or sometimes I will cut a book cover out of chipboard and do it that way. But I happen to have a whole bin right now of book covers, and so I decided to check and see if I had a book cover that would work before I just cut and made a new one, and I did. So I used that, and then I started decorating it, but then I decided to stop and not go any further until we did this so that you could see what the base is like. I will put an eyelet here and some dangles. I think I'll probably put a little metal book plate that matches. I love the little handle as the opening of the book. Inside, you can choose what you're going to put inside. You could put, actually, I found the book guts. Here are the book guts from this book. And so I could take these two end papers, and I could use those two end papers right there. Or I may use some different paper that I have as the end papers, or you could use fabric. You could just use a piece of fabric as your end papers. But I didn't want to complete that. I wanted you to be able to see how that is put on there. So, you might have buttons or you might not. That doesn't matter. We're going to do the base today. And then once you get the base done, then you can embellish it and add things. You could add flat backs. You could add bits and pieces of jewelry. You could add dangles or charms, things hanging from it. Buttons, great way to use up some fancy buttons that are sitting around. Most of us have tons of buttons. I have one container of buttons on my desk, but multiples around the room. So most of us have lots of buttons to be able to use. So let me get a lozenge. Allergies are a lot better, but not gone. So start talking and my throat gets really weird, but all right, so who's going to try? Melanie, you're going to do this along with us today, right? Carrie, you're going to do it along with us. Glennis, and if you don't feel like sewing or even tacking it down with needle and thread, you can just glue. That is not a problem, really not a big deal at all. Any way you want. So I pulled Carrie, you have sympathy for that throat thing. I know you do. This is just a piece of just cotton, linen, fabric. Actually, it's just cotton. It's not necessarily linen. Just a cotton fabric as a base. Any kind of fabric that you can grab a big piece of is great as a base. And so what I did was decide how big, like this one was a large piece of fabric. And when I laid it out, I decided how big I wanted it to be. If I remember right, it's probably about 8.5 or a little bit more this way, so that I could take an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, fold it in half, and make my signatures that way, and so that they would fit inside that. Let's see. 1, 2, 9. Yeah, that's about 8.5, 8 3/4. So a little bit of room there. And you can make it so it hangs over the edge if you want. So you've got a layer. I like it. It's not like a straight edge. There's stuff sticking out some places and not other places. That is totally up to you. So this one is a smaller piece of fabric, and I would like to make a little bit smaller book with this one. And if I have a book that fits it, great. And if I don't, I'll just make one, make the hard part with chipboard. So I think I do have books of all sizes, though, so I'm sure there's one that fits it. So yes, you need a piece of fabric that becomes your base. And then in order to keep it straight, so that when you do, let me grab, maybe this is the one I was looking at, right? Is that? Yeah, it's about the right size. Okay, so I thought field guide, complete field guide to American wildlife. Ooh, that's a good book. Maybe I don't want to. That's a Glennis book, huh? Reptiles, the field guide. Those are nice books. If in order to make it straight, so that when you go to put it onto a book or make a cover for it, you want to kind of block out where you want it to be. And especially if you have a larger piece of fabric. I went ahead, once I blocked this out, I just tore the fabric down so that I would have an inch and a half on each side. So it's easier to sit in front of me and work with. But if you don't block it out to know where you put your things, it's really easy to get wonky and not be exactly straight. And then when you go to put it on a book, it's not going to sit straight or fit straight. So you can see that I set my book down, and I just put a corner. I made a mark over here where the top of the book, a mark here, and then another corner over here, just in pencil. The pencil will come off if you want to erase it, but it doesn't matter because I'll just put things right over it. If I'm doing this and looking at the book, in fact, this is what I did. If I do this and put it down there, and I made that mark on the top, I know that that's the top of the book, so I can actually cover my mark. If I go inside the mark, I'm not going to fully cover the book. So you want to make sure, just put your mark on top and then just fully cover your mark, and you will be fine with that. So the other thing that I did was put 2 marks where the spine is. May or may not matter. If you want to do something specific on the spine so that when it's on the book, you can see this specific thing on the spine, it's good to know where that is. Otherwise, you might end up with it over here. And then when you put it on the book, half of it's on the spine, half of it is not. I have done that. That's why I'm giving you these tips ahead of time to make those marks. Because, yeah, then it's really awkward because what I wanted to be on the spine is now only half on the spine. So I've got a couple marks down here where the bottom of the book was, a couple of corners right there. So I can see exactly where the outline of my book cover will be and exactly where the spine would be. There aren't enough pictures in that, are there, Glennis? There's a lot of illustrations, a lot of drawings, but there wasn't a lot of pictures, which is kind of odd. So, okay, so let me move this to the side for just a minute here. What I have done, get rid of the ruler, is just grab and move a couple things out of the way here. And let's see, we don't need those buttons, at least not now. This is a piece of something I could take off if I wanted to. I just grabbed a stack. This is just a stack of bits and pieces, literally. There's a couple of large ones. I mean, that's about the largest that came off of a fabric sample book. But all the others are just, little stuff. And that's what you want, to be able to use up the little things. I've got some of this gauze-like fabric here, some lace. You could choose to do any colors that you want. You could do all colors. I have this little thing, and I could cut off any of those. There's more lace. Some of it's coffee dyed, some of it's not. This is an old belt, one that I had gotten from Goodwill, and I had actually used part of it already, so that part was cut off. But I can cut off sections of that, and then I can even cut off this vinyl stuff, or tear off this vinyl stuff here, just to use that lace, because that is really pretty lace, which is why I bought that belt. But just odds and ends, bits and pieces, or there's some hearts. Those are from very, very old handkerchiefs, just stuff. And actually, let's see. Oh, I had to run downstairs, and I grabbed a couple odds and ends of doilies that were sitting in a bag there, and they're in my pocket, my other pants pocket. I might have to go grab those. They're right out in the other room. Here's some other small ones, and here's a box of odds and ends and bits and pieces. So all of these things are great. All of these things are great and usable, and those will be, good things to choose from. And sometimes you want a piece of something solid to make up an area. See if I can find one. You need layers. In order to get the look, you need multiple layers. So like this down here was a darker piece of fabric, but then it's covered by these other things, and you can see through them, so you can see the dark there. But if you didn't have that dark fabric underneath it, you would see through, and you would just see the book cover, and it really looks shallow. There's no depth to it, and doesn't look like it's layered. So sometimes if you really dig in there and look, you can see 1, 2, 3, even 4 layers of things as they go over the top of each other. But in order to get that layered cluster look, you do need to have layers. So you might have an area, there's bits of fabric stuck all over the place, which is perfect, because that, even though we're starting on a fabric base, we still want to put, I don't want to ever see this right here, because if I see this, I know that that's my base. And so this is like your canvas, and you don't want to see the canvas. You want to cover it with other things. So I might just need a section of fabric to put somewhere to cover the canvas, and then I build on that. You don't get the layered look if you don't layer. So Glennis, thank you so much for getting us started today on our super chat. Speaking of which, I left the stuffed envelope sitting out on the table. So let's talk about a couple of things. Well, I'm starting to get some stuff ready here. As Glennis did on the super chat, every time we have a live, anyone who supports the channel with a super chat goes into a drawing. At the end of this live, we will have a drawing and put everyone's name. We do it live on the screen so that everyone can see the drawing and see who wins. And so I'm going to start in the list right now with Glennis on it. And we draw, and the winner of the drawing on the wheel of names gets a free bag. It is a flat rate bubble envelope stuffed full of stuff. And oh my goodness, I've got so many of them going right now, because I have really been working on purging and organizing, getting things ready for the Black Friday sale, and also reorganizing my studio. So I have come across things that I completely forgot were even there. In these flat rate stuffed envelopes, there are projects that we made at a Monday Jumpstart. There are supplies. There's supplies in there. That could be brand new supplies. That could be old, vintage, antique things that came from estate sales. They could be items from the shop. I uncovered 3 more bins of washi tape. When I completely did one end of the studio this weekend and found 3 more complete bins of washi tape. So yeah, you'll likely get a few different washies in there. At the end, I try to shove a couple of washies in every one of them, in whatever little space is left in there, and trying to make sure that they're different. Like they'll be all, if there's 2 or 3, they'll all be completely different from each other. And, oh, but there's so much stuff, just all kinds of stuff. And that flat rate envelope is stuffed full and ready to go. And so if you are the drawing winner on one of the lives, then all you do is send the $10 for shipping. And shipping is anywhere from $10.60 to $12.95, depending where you are. Those flat rate envelopes, they've tacked on a little surcharge for the holidays. I'll pay the rest of it. Not worried about that, because 10 is a nice, easy round number. So you send $10 for shipping, and you get that flat rate envelope shipped to you. And it's just fun. Tardy for the party, drip, drip. Oh, no. Sylvia, I am so sorry with what you're dealing with today. Okay, my hardest part about this is getting started. It's just putting the first thing down. And so here's what I do. First, just take something and start laying things down. It doesn't even matter, what or where or how, because I usually end up moving stuff somewhere. So I'm just going to put a couple things down, and you could glue them. I'm not going to glue them yet because I want to get a better feel for, what I have, what I'm doing. I just want to get to some of these bitty pieces and scraps over here, and just start putting stuff down. And once you put stuff down, and then you grab something else, and you say, oh, I would like that on top of that, better than that one. And you just start moving things around. Okay. And it's okay. There's actually like 2 different ways that I have done this. And one is like that, where, just start putting things down. And then when I have it all laid out the way I like it, then I stick some pins in it. And then I take my needle and thread and just kind of start tacking stuff down. The other way is to tack things down as you go. Like this is on the bottom. I wouldn't tack this down because I know it's going to get covered, or almost all covered. I would just put a couple of drops of glue on it and just stick it there. Because when I put the top things down, the top things are what is going to end up with the stitching in them. Because again, the stitching is primarily for the look of the stitching, the decorative effect, not so much to hold it all down, although it ends up holding it down. Sylvia, wow, that is so nice of you. You are so sweet. Wow. Last week, Sylvia won, and she gave it away. And Jill was so excited because it was Jill's first time of winning. So thank you, Sylvia. That is really kind of cool. That might make a cool spine kind of thing, and maybe over the top of something so it would actually show. No. And when it's done, I'll just use like an embroidery floss, or this has been sitting on my desk. I've been using it for everything, trying to use it up. It's just a white string that has a tiny little gold thread wrapped around it. I think I will probably use that today and try to use up some more of that. Are you just doing layers of lace? So layers of anything. I thought I had my fabric scraps here too, and I don't have fabric scraps. So I've got lace. I've got a lot of doily bits and pieces. I do have some plain fabric bits and pieces like this. So I'll use these. This one's linen. And I'll put these down. And the hardest time for me is just getting started. It's just getting something down. Once it's started, you just grab something else and you say, where would I like that? Or would I put it on top of it or next to it? Or would I like that better than I like that kind of thing? But just getting the first couple things down. And actually, a better way for me to make that decision is just to sew them down as I go, just to tack them. But I kind of like to lay them out to see if I like it. Also, I might tack something down and then I cover it later with something else. And then I'm thinking, why did I bother to tack it down? Because I can't even see that. So I'd kind of rather wait and see if I'm even going to see it. So I also have these edges of pillowcases that were hand crocheted. And so I need to decide, do I want to use a bunch of color on this, or do I want to just keep it the neutrals? You know, that's totally up to you. So, oh, that is pretty. And that would be pretty on a front or back, maybe over the top of everything else. Thank you, Carrie. Thank you for jumping in with the super chat. I'm crafting at great risk. I keep getting my hands attacked because my helper won't stay off my desk. Totally understand that. That's the difference between the cat helpers and the dog helpers, right? Oh, that is so funny. Well, find a ball of yarn or something that you can give the helper. Okay, so there's my edge. I don't really want to see the edge when I get it wrapped around the book, so I'm making my things go just over the edge. I'd rather have, you know, a little bit of my cover peeking out over the edge. And I have to keep paying attention to where my lines are there. This can also use just little strips of this to go underneath or take up space. Sometimes it just looks or feels like it's not, there's not enough layers, you know, there's not enough depth to it, and you need to put something else underneath it. So that's where that kind of thing is really good. This is really, really old, over 100 years old. And so that's a super pretty piece. I'm not sure I like that for the spine. If you know what you want to do on the spine too, that helps. If you know you want a book plate or not, or jewelry or whatever, you know, kind of thing it is. That would be pretty right in the front. Of course, it's going to need stuff underneath it. It's the hardest part. Okay, so when you get a piece of lace that has, it's curved because it's gathered on one side. And so if you hold it straight, and you've got the ruffle, you can either leave that like that, and so you could put that at an angle, or if you're going to cut a small piece of that, or you can rip out or cut out that stitching on the top of it, and when you get rid of that stitching on the top of it, it becomes a straight piece of lace. So I don't ever take those out until I go to use it, because I can decide at that time whether I want to use it as a straight piece or whether it's a small offcut and I like the curve. Sometimes the curve is kind of cool, depending how you're using it. So this one not only had a piece of, or a thread, because sometimes it's just the thread that pulls it, but this had a little bit of like fishnet over the top encasing that. So I'm going to cut that off right where I ended that. And now it's a straight, I think that's the front. Now it's a straight piece of lace that can be used. And I still have this section that is curved. So I'm just going to pull a whole bunch of things out. Looks like that came off the same one. I'm just going to pull a whole bunch of things out at this point and start laying them out. Now that could be interesting. Oh, that's an ornament. That's a snowflake ornament. So just pull out a whole bunch of things and start laying them out. And let's see. And you'll, start looking at them and go, well, that's too much of that. I need something else over there. Or, there's not enough layers. See, I'm looking through this one and I can see my canvas underneath it. And I don't really want to see the canvas itself. I mean, the canvas is there to hold the art. So I'm not here for let my pitties in. They think they need to be in the chair with me, right? Oh, cute, Yorkie size. So I kind of like this piece right here, but I'm going to start putting some things underneath it. You can maybe you can't see that close up, but just having something else underneath it, then I have the layered look instead of looking through it and just seeing that piece there, which we know is the canvas. It doesn't give you much depth there. So that is really pretty. Sometimes I don't know how much I want, so having a longer piece is great. I can come back and get a bigger piece if I want, you know, of something else. And what I'm trying to do is just not put everything that looks exactly the same, you know, together. And that goes underneath there. And I'm trying not to just put one whole piece of fabric underneath everything, because there's already a piece of fabric that is the canvas. And so the look of layering that I'm going for means there needs to be different types of things underneath that are layered, and then these things on top of it. See, there we go. Now you start to get the layered look. You've got the canvas, you've got something underneath it, or something on top of it, something on top of that. And you can see through these the multiple layers. So there's the edge of my spine right there. I kind of like seeing a little bit of that through. And I might put some of that lace. It's this one. It's really pretty. I might put some of that on top of something else. It doesn't always have to be an underneath piece. But this one is really pretty. Really like that piece right there. All right. See what else we've got. That's really pretty. Put side. I'm remembering that if I'm looking at it this way, this is the front of my book cover. There's the spine, and this is the back. So you can look at that as to how you're organizing things and say, okay, I think I would like that right at the front, you know, on the front cover, or I wouldn't like that, or, you know, whatever it is. Honestly, I've done several of these, and every time it doesn't really matter how hard I think it or overthink it and plan it out and figure it. It always ends up looking cool. It just always does, because it's just a neat process, and it uses up a lot of scraps, and it just always ends up looking good, looking layered and cool. So what did I just move from there? Oh, this one right here. Yeah, so then you know, just decide, do I want to add? I didn't pull out any of my colored with the scraps that I had sitting close by. I've been trying to use up things that are on my desk or around, you know, really near my desk. And most of the stuff that I had right close by is pretty neutral, so I didn't pull out any colored. I do have those in a different container, red and blue doilies and green, but also pieces of lace of all different colors. I do have some lace hanging here next to me that I can grab too. In fact, I'm going to cut off a couple pieces of that. And fabric, you can get fabric, you know, fabric scraps, fabric swatches, all those of any color. I'm going to grab a little bit of this because I think some of these lace pieces would be great in here. And actually, we'll add a tiny bit of color if we use some of that. This is some of the lace that has been going into some of the prize packs. Let's see here. All right, cutting off a couple chunks, and I'll show you what I've got. Got some coffee dyed. I already got some of the blue. Okay. Oh, I like this, and maybe we'll make a cool spine. Let's see. So some of these trims, lace trims, are some that have been going in. I've been putting yards, big, 2, 3, 4 yards into some of those prize packs. So there's some little tiny blue flowers and yellow and pink. And just grabbed a couple of scraps of these things. Big fat one. Now that would be cool. That would be cool down a spine, wouldn't it? And then some other things on top of it. Also, a piece of this would be really pretty down the spine, and some other things on top of it. So how would they look layered together? They would look great, and they all would look great. There's another one that would be pretty, maybe across the top. This one might look cool down the spine. So yeah, y'all keep containers of scraps of lace and ribbons and doilies, just like you do your paper scraps. Okay, I've got too many to choose from now. Getting to that point, too many to choose from. But I have to always remember that I need multiple layers. There's at least 2, but often there's 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of things here. In order to get the look, you need multiple layers of things. Here's 1 on top of that one. That's 2. On top of this one is 3. On top of that is 4, but there's another one beside it that's underneath over there. So at least 4, and then the canvas piece underneath. So yeah. Oh, you got some in your prize pack. Awesome. I start to get where I don't remember what I sent you because I've been packing. I've got at least 10 packed now, ready to go. We're going to give away a bunch at the Black Friday sale as well. Okay, so let me move these things out of the way. But if you want to add a little color, that's a good way to add color without having to bring in a whole lot of, oh, this one's really pretty too. Without having to bring in a whole lot of colored paper. Fabric. I'm thinking of fabric as the paper of the project, the base. Okay, I like that. I really like that piece, and I think that'll make a really nice across the top of the front cover. So I'm going to do that. And I'm going to stitch all these down, so they're just going to have, you just glue them down, but they're just going to get tacked. So they're just going to have little, the tack is meant to be put kind of in design, not, I could put it on a sewing machine, I guess. You could put it on the sewing machine and just sew them all down. The idea of being tacked down was just really for the design. It's like doodling. It's like doodling on your picture or your painting. You go and doodle on the painting or the gel print afterwards. That's what the tacking is. That's the doodling on it. All right, so I'm thinking I'm going to put a strip of this right underneath here and let it cover the spine, and it's also going to go both sides of the spine. So the spine is going to be trying to get it centered just so as I look at it, I won't be able to see my markings anymore, but I'll be able to tell where the spine is. It's between these two. So 1 row is on each side. One row on each side of the spine. Cover screams the need for a complementary color. No, tea-colored background. Yeah, or brown. Yeah. I felt the same when I was doing this, Sylvia, which is why I ended up sticking some dark brown and some reds and some pink, some tea-dyed and coffee-dyed things underneath so that I could see the dark color through them, because it was just a lot of neutral and I wanted some of that complementary color. So I'm putting this down and I'm starting to feel the same way, that there's no color underneath. So whether that's, like a tea dye or coffee dye is enough, or whether I need to grab some other pieces of fabric. I was trying to use what was just right here by my desk. That may not work so well. I do have some purple crochet here. Not sure I want this one to go purple. Here's some blue. There's some peach that has been coffee dyed. So yeah, and you know, take it any color combination or way that you want to go. I know you're not going to be able to do this today, Sylvia, with what you're dealing with. I'm so sorry for what you have to deal with today. That is just so not fun. I hope you're able to get it fixed. I talked to Margie this morning, and she was going to be here. She might have fallen asleep on us. She has been really tired, so she might have fallen asleep. She's still recovering from her hospital stint and was pretty tired. So if she fell asleep, we'll give her a pass. She needs it. She deserves it. Okay, so if I get a piece of this underneath here, and actually, I don't think I want to just put it all the way down. I keep trying to remember where the front cover ends, but I do really want to get some color underneath there. I'm going to cut some of these guys apart. These are kind of cool flowers, like applique type flowers. And it's too much shiny next to shiny. So I don't know. I'm having a little bit of a problem here. You know, despite what you might think, I struggle with doing things like this live. I am typically I'll put on some music or a show and I'll sit down to do my thing, and just me, and it's just quiet, and there's just no pressure, no trying to complete it immediately or in front of everyone, and I don't have to think about it or worry about it, and I just do it. And I struggle to do this live with people watching, using a lot of muted and pastel colors and laying the fabric down first, and then I'll start layering the lace. Yes, great idea. You know, to start with fabric pieces as the base and then lace on top of that is excellent. I didn't have any fabric pieces sitting here on my desk as well, other than these few small ones that I showed you, but sitting here as scraps, and I can see that I really need some. So I could grab some. They're not far from me. But yeah, I struggle doing things like this in live, honestly. It's not super comfortable for me to do it in front. Look how pretty this is. This is so pretty. This is so old. I can't cut that up, but I may be able to use that on a book just like that, maybe on the front cover, over some other things. That would be really pretty. I don't think I could cut that piece up, though. That is just too cool. I think I'm going to grab... Okay, just wanted to kind of not tell her that my train journal has turned into an art journal. Nice! Adding watercolor paper along with all those papers I've just released. That is so cool, Sylvia. That is so cool. I can't wait to see it. Hey, nobody said it had to be... The whole point of the train journal was whatever you want it to be. And if it is now a train art journal, I love that. It'll get used. It will get used. I'm not sure I like that so much, but it's going to sit there for now. So I'd be much better doing this and then showing you what I did. But I try, and you guys know that's a lot of the reason that I do things live is to try, because everybody needs to know that everybody else's things aren't perfect and don't always come easy, and especially the first time you do them. And I mean, I've done a number of these, but I've never done one live before, and it's a completely different feel. Hey, Lamont, welcome, welcome. Thank you. I'm going to grab some fabric swatches right here. A whole drawer full. I'll just grab the ones on top and let's see what is there. So when you put these down underneath as a base, just dumped your whole bucket. Oh, shoot. Oh. When you put these down as a base, these are just out of a fabric swatch book, sample book, then you're not going to see a whole lot of this. You're going to see a little bit of the color peek through. You're going to see a little bit of the color peek through. These are all pieces of fabric underneath here. So you don't have to worry so much about what the print is or what the pattern is. Just, is that a color you want peeking through? Like that, like that. Oh, this brown is pretty. Oh, all those are perfect. Okay. I'll not do the light, the mint. Okay, these will all be perfect. And they all have some pattern on them. Here's some smaller ones. These are good too. Okay. I do like a little bit of red, maroon or something that adds for some really nice depth. There's a little bit of gold. So I'm going to start with just cutting some pieces. And that's even a little bit difficult because I like them better when they're really just odds and ends scraps and not organized square pieces, you know. So even I do like the texture on this one with that stitching. Even just to, this one's already been partly used, but even just to like cut off a corner like that and then cut off a hunk so that they're not square pieces. They're just much funner to work with. Some of them, those pieces of paper will pull off the back. Sometimes they don't so easily. I don't care if any of it stays on because it's going to, that's the back anyway. It's going to be glued down. Okay. So got a few, see if that will come off here. I could. I would like to embellish it a little bit more, get some more metals on it, maybe some a spine dangle, things that I had in mind, but I might do that, Sylvia. It's actually a good idea for me. I've uncovered so many more things as I've been purging and organizing the studio and then also preparing for the sale. Oh, you think you know what's there and then you forget what actually got buried. Especially when there is so much. I will put end paper on it. I will finish decorating it, and I will put, unless somebody really just wanted the cover and you wanted to do your own signatures inside, then I would go ahead and put, sew some signatures in. But if you wanted, if you know that you'd really like it and you would want to do your own signatures, let me know, because then I definitely wouldn't do signatures. if it's an auction, ready to start bidding, and bring won't let me work like that. They have to be square or rectangles. I get that too. I have been really working on training my brain to not always go to the square or rectangle, because that's my brain too, Carrie. And I've been really trying to get my brain not to do that. And it's hard. It is hard. But I do like the effect I get when I don't. So could have cut some of these up earlier. Sylvia, would you want it completed? Signatures in it and all of that, or would you want to put signatures in yourself? Okay. They're square, not square. That's what I've got there. Isn't that the beauty of our brains? For me, do better with random. Yeah. Okay, so I am going to go back here to what is my my spine. If I pick them up as scraps and they're all random shapes, then my brain works great with them. If I'm trying to cut them into random shapes, that's a little weirder for me, Carrie. Then my brain wants to cut them square and rectangle and make it all fit. But the beauty of this is that how it all fits when you did it randomly. You do it random and in the end it all fits. That's kind of the beauty of it. I like this piece. I'm just gonna fray it a bit. I do like the frayed fabric. All right, so where's the top? There's the top. The fray can go over the edge. And there's my spine over here. So I do want that to be centered on the spine. Here we go. Okay. And that piece is cool. I think I'm going to put that underneath that zigzag edge. And I'm going to make myself first a dark spine. Like this. Up here, bottom is right there. Okay, so those are all going to get covered up, but at least that's a good base there. Just picked up a scrap that's not square and I'm using it. See? Yeah, but if you go to cut it, your brain wants to cut it in squares and rectangles, right? But if I pick it up and it's all ski-wampus, then I'm totally okay to use it. All right. Need some color underneath here too. Although I don't want to just keep putting the same colors down in repeat, then it looks like a pattern, and I'm trying to avoid a pattern. All right, so I think what I'm going to do is just put a couple drops of glue on these colored pieces here, because what am I going to use? I just use some of this collage gel that's sitting here. Will that even come out? Feels ice cold. Let's just do that. Just to tell me that that's there and it's staying there. And I don't even have to think about moving it. And that's also my spine. So I'm just going to put one little strip down there and put those on. And I know where my spine is. I know they're going to get covered, but there's a base to work off of. Okay. So let's also do that over here. And these I don't want to be all straight like the spine. That's, and I don't even necessarily want, I really like the odd pieces so much for when you putting them on the cover. And I don't need to cover the entire thing. Too big. Let's cut a hunk off. There's our corner. That can go underneath. There we go. Okay. Let's get some of that brown. Decide which side. That side. So I can get it to fray a bit. Do you like that frayed look? I guess if those get glued down or sewn down, doesn't matter, right? All right. So for anybody who has not been here before when we did our lives, the super chat down at the bottom is a way that you can support a channel and keep them running. And so we have a thing going where everybody who does super chat on any live and every live gets in the drawing at the end of the live for a flat rate, padded flat rate envelope, which is packed and is sitting out on the kitchen table because I forgot to bring it in. Because I packed a whole bunch of them actually this weekend. Got at least 10 of them packed and ready to go. And the winner of that drawing only pays shipping, or most of the shipping, on that padded flat rate envelope. And everything inside is your free prize pack. There's always stamps and stencils and dies and like metal dies. You could have everything from, I can't even think. I put so many things in and now I can't even think of what it is. There could be paper, cardstock. I know Glennis's, I got a bunch of old grungy things because that's her favorite. I found old newspapers that were like 50 years old and just, totally grungy stuff because that's what she loves. Jill's got some purple things in it because that's what she loves. And there's almost always some lace, varieties of laces. Trying to think of what else. There could be things that we've made on a Monday Jumpstart, supplies, tags, cards. Carrie got some, there have been a number of markers, metallic markers or things like that in multiple packages. But Carrie got aqua, what are they called, Carrie? Aqua something markers. Cannot remember what they're called now. All right, so now we've got pretty good base of some things down there. I'm going to put that right there. And now I'm going to start covering it more with more of the doilies and the lace. I don't usually like putting a whole doily on it. I like putting the half pieces. And that's what I had in my pocket, was a bunch of half pieces that were cut off of something, from other projects. And then I changed my pants right before we started because I knew that when we were done here, I need to leave and go somewhere. And so let's see, where's our corner? There's our corner right there. So that keeps wanting to fold. But I might go grab those half doily pieces. So I have to ask, has anybody else been doing, I know you were all working on finishing your train journals. Has anybody done any of the Book of Scraps pages? Aquaflow, that's what they were, the Aquaflow markers. Yes. I went a little nuts on the book of scraps. I became obsessed, and I just kept doing more and more of the pages and loving it. Loving using up the scraps, loving how it looks, loving how fun it is. That's just a really great, totally enjoyable. There's some halves. And I think I've got 36 or 40 different pages covered with scraps now. That's enough to make a whole book. I'm going to need to bind them soon. I went back and started decorating them, embellishing them. So I did some paste with stencils on some. I've added some little chipboard die cuts here and there. Done some fancy little gold trims, glued on some things here or there. Okay, so I'm going to get some more things on top of this back here. And then chunks. I'm not finding chunks here. I want chunks of things. And all my half doilies are in my pocket, my other pants, which I could walk over and get. That's not a big deal. But I just didn't want to walk away from my desk. Ads in the comments? Oh. Here? Like right now, Glennis? In these comments? In these here comments? I have not seen any ads. That is a little weird. Now that you've got the train books done or about done, I can't wait to see what some of you do with the book of scraps. Okay. Let's need something under, something filler in there. Maybe that just goes that way. See, if I can see white underneath it, then I know I'm still seeing the canvas, and I don't really want to see that. I want enough layers that is covered. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. That would be cool too. Put a hunk of that right there. Gathered up black notebook size papers, going to go Texas size. Ooh. Melanie, that book of scraps. Yeah, last Monday Jumpstart. And then I made a video. It's only a few minutes, and put that into, it's on YouTube. It's also in the group, the link, so you could grab the link in the Facebook group. Showing my obsession with it and what I'd done since then, a whole bunch of different ones. And that was just all the scraps. I hadn't done any embellishing on that yet. So after doing so many pages of scraps, I thought maybe it's time to start embellishing some of them. I still need some things down there. How about a little bit of this? Yeah, it's crazy how fun it is. And because it uses up so many scraps, it's fun to see those scraps go away. But also the reason we kept those scraps is because we really liked them so much. And it's really great to see pieces of paper that I really liked so much coming together to make such a cool piece of art. And it ends up looking much more like an art book, an art journal, like a cool piece of art than any other kind of book or journal. It really is a cool piece of art. Okay, so now I'm just sticking things in here or there where there's a gap or a space that needs something. Also, I know that once I'm all done, I can go back and add like some little flowers and buttons and you know, or small doilies or crocheted pieces, or what are they called? The things Glennis likes. I just lost, can't think of the word. Anyway, those kind of embellishments, yeah, you know, like that. I could just put that over the top of any of the things. And I know I've got some smaller ones, so that's cool. That would even work right there. But multiple layers, that is the key. Layers and layers. Even if you just have to take a little piece of lace and stick it underneath something because there's not enough layers there to fill in a gap. It's just layers and layers is the whole key to this. Appliques. Thank you, Glennis. I could put appliques on it, you know, afterwards, you know, anything to embellish it, appliques, buttons. You could embroider if you like to do that. All the different things. This kind of lace is good filler when you need just a, you know, just a little piece, a little section. Just grab a little section, stick it in somewhere, and it looks like there's a whole nother piece under there and it's just peeking out. Little things like that anywhere. There's another little section where I can see the canvas and I don't want to see the canvas. I want that all to be covered. So that's perfect. Okay, so I am liking it better with the colored base underneath it that can peek through. And like this one, I think when I did it, I did a lot of beige and then I went back and stuck the red and dark brown things underneath it because I just needed those little pops of color wherever. I do have some of that like butterscotch colored lace that could also be used. Here's also some pink but coffee dyed lace that could be used as well. So anywhere where there's a gap, those little pieces, I can go there. Okay, and then I want some that'll work. I could even put that over the top of it if I want. When I'm all done, I'll go back and put a drop of glue underneath a lot of these things, and then I'll just go back and tack down. The tacking will be, again, to be the decorative portion. I guess that's similar to embroidering. I'm going to lift this all up and put some color on the front. Decided I like the color better today than the lack of color. So see what else we've got up here. I do like the frayed edges. Some fray better than others. Some fray one direction and not the other. On the zombie appliques, I don't think I have any zombie appliques. We can make some zombie appliques. No, but appliques are nice to put. You know, this is kind of second nature to Glennis because she makes those gorgeous doily books, and it's kind of similar, not the same, but kind of similar thought process in those doing those doily books. So she probably has an advantage that she's done something similar before. But the layering, she layers the doilies up, you know, many doilies, layers them up and uses appliques and all those kinds of things to embellish and add to it. And that's exactly the. Now this one could be turned over either way. I think I like the lighter of the two. Let's go down there. Need some more pieces. Something like that up in the corner. Actually, you know, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking of, you know, new process doing, and I always work these things out with you guys. So you see that it doesn't always come together the first time, but this is a little differently than I've done any of the other few that I've done. But I'm thinking new process, just take whatever color you want to be the base, lay that all down, but don't even worry, just collage it down. because it's going to get covered, and it's going to get covered with, you know, whatever colors you want to be prominent. But you can use any colors that you want to just kind of sort of show through, be underneath, and just collage everything down. Got that one right next to it. Is there one that isn't? Just collage everything down. Okay, so then you collage a base down. When you start putting stuff on top of it, most of this you're not even going to see at all, which is totally fine, because I don't want that to be all that I see, but it also prevents you from seeing the canvas, and it gives you your first layer. Just like when you're painting, you always have multiple layers. Okay, so let me put the rest of that color over there. Now back to what I was thinking would make a really pretty spine. Maybe this. And with stuff layered on top of that. I'm just going to cut that off about where it needs to be. You can always trim up the edges when you're done. It would make a great gratitude journal. Yeah. Yeah, Glennis, similar but different. Okay, so if I put this down, and that's the spine, then I could either do some other things and put this on top of it and let that be like a spine cover, or layer on top of that. I kind of like the idea of other things down, and then that becomes the final. I haven't done that before, so let's do that. Let's do this. While I'm at it, I'm going to flip off a couple more of these to put somewhere else. We'll see where. And got this one. And go up there. And maybe some of this. Which direction, which side? I think that's the right side. I don't want everything to be perfectly set on the spine, but just that final piece I will align. But I'm going to set these, offset these on the spine. And let's see here. That can be on the spine and go around to the front. I'm going to have to cut some of these doilies because I don't have the half pieces. Oh, look how pretty that is. It's a heart, Sylvia. I think that's the front. It's a coffee dyed, embroidered, or yeah, crocheted, probably crocheted heart. That was pretty. That was glued on something. Okay. That one has a C embroidered in the center of it. That's a heart too. Where did I get all these hearts? Those are so pretty. I don't want to cut those up. Don't want to cut those up. But I do want to. I'm going to cut this one in half. Oh, hate to do that. That is a handmade one. But I'm going to put it down here. Put that down there. Right to the corner. That's really pretty piece, this stuff right here. I'll cut some more of that off. Where's the end? There's the end. I like it a lot more with the colors down. Yes. Can't get to any of my fabric doilies, but I just found my vintage dotted Swiss. Ooh, That'd be pretty. That'll be pretty. Okay, was this underneath there? I think it needs to be if it wasn't. Okay. Vintage dotted Swiss would be very pretty. Okay, and then let's see. There's my spine right there. I'm going to do that, which is pretty much on spine. Okay. And then this over here. Really like that little piece. And this piece. You could, I mean, you could just slap these down and go as fast as you want, or you can take your time and arrange and rearrange and, you know, turn it into a whole piece of art. I mean, either way, it's a piece of art. Whether you do it, it's just like painting. Do you do it quickly, or do you like to take your time and think about each, you know, color you're painting down? It's all. Heart would look good on the spine. Yeah, it would. It would look good on the spine. I think it would also look good on the, like on the front cover. So there's the spine right there. That goes over the top. Now I'm debating that over the top is one big piece. Everything else is the look of all the pieced. So it feels like this should be underneath it. Although, yeah, I don't know. Now it just looks funky to me. Now it doesn't look right, like it should be underneath. Not fitting. So that one might not go on this piece. Was intended to, but might not make it. This would be a cool piece. I'm going to cut some more of this off. There, look at that. Just use half of that. Cut it right up and down. So her spine is right here. I don't think I'm going to mess with that one. I think on the next one I do, I'll probably put this underneath and build on it like was the original thought. Interesting how that seemed like it would work in my brain and then didn't. Okay. I want these over the top of that. Underneath that one. Okay. And how's it coming? Those of you who are trying this, how's it coming? Look at that. Need some more chunks and pieces up here. Oops. So they're not glued down or sewn down yet. You take the chance of bumping them and moving them around. It's all right, though. That's the right direction. That. This is fun. I could do this all day. See? It's like the scrap paper pages. Once I started piecing those papers together, like, man, this is fun. And a page was pieced together so fast that I just kept doing one after the other, scraps all over my desk all week long. I didn't want to clean up the scraps. Let me just use some of them up and do another page. And they went so fast. And if you sat down, I've never done 2 of these in a row. I've done one, and it's usually the kind of thing it gets set on my desk and I'm doing it, and then I have to go, and then I come back to it, so it always ends up not being just in one sitting. But I think if you sat down and you did it and you got down a feel for what really works well for you, that once you get going, you could probably whip out a bunch of these in a much faster time. I'm not sure I like that, but I'm thinking about, I'm going to do that. I'm going to cut this little thing out of the center. There's an attach thread there that won't unravel. I want to cut them off if they're going to unravel. And I'll probably put a drop of glue at the end of each of these just to make sure. But then that circle will be cool to use around something else, like a frame, a doily frame. Yeah, there's kind of nothing better than spreading out scraps of anything on your desk and having a plan, no plan. I mean, the plan is just to glue scraps down and make a cool cover, and then another, and then another. You could also do this on black fabric or any color fabric. It wouldn't even matter. It doesn't even have to be solid, especially if you're covering the entire thing up and you're not seeing. So that'll be cool for another one. But same thing with the paper scraps. Plan is just to keep covering up the paper with the paper scraps. And that's fun as my scrap pile gets smaller and those pages or these covers start to come to life. All right, some more. Let's see. Need some more layers over here. My glue, tacky and dry, go back in with embroidery thread and needle to doodle. Yes. Yes. Add some bits and bobs and blings to it. Absolutely. So sometimes you can't even really see the tacking the thread so well. I mean, some of you can. I purposely tried to make them big enough that you could see them. But this one, you see all these little brown tacking lines? Just went all the way around it. And then right here on the inside, tacks the whole thing down, and it's like doodling on it. There was even a couple spots, and so that one you can see the brown around there, tack that down. But I think there was even a couple spots, on this one where I went to a peach colored floss that was closer to this off-white. And so you can't even see that. Didn't necessarily want that one to stick out. I just wanted to tack it down. But you can see it really just blends in. It's like a very subtle doodle. These, you can see the one right in the middle. That tacks it down all the way around. Tried to make flowers with the flowers. That was a little more than just, the one little tack. But it also made sure that every petal was down. And these tack the center, but the rest of it can be up. Doesn't matter. It's not going anywhere. And that one tucked in the center and around. So that one, is that glued or tacked? No, it's tacked down. Okay. And the sari, I mean, you can just tack it down in decorative fashion, straight lines, doesn't matter. Like I said, you could probably, I haven't done this, but I could probably just put a a couple drops of glue, especially on the top ones, just to hold them in place, and then take it to my sewing machine and do it on the sewing machine. If you wanted to, you could go all the way around, because Sarah could do really cool quilty designs in it. That I would love to be able to do. But how are you going to do it until you try it, right? So maybe that's it. Maybe we just need to try that. Where do we need a little more? There needs something. Can't wait to see your train book and your fabric scrapbook. And I can't wait to see your paper scrapbooks. Like I said, I know some of you have been waiting because you've been working on getting your trains done. And I haven't had a busy weekend and haven't had a chance to go in and see all the posted train journals. So I will do that. You can post a little tiny piece, put it underneath the edge of something, and it looks like it's a bigger piece going down under that edge. That's okay. Okay. Need some things in here. Hot mess is good. What matters is you're having fun doing it. Don't care if it's a hot mess. Just are you having fun doing it? That's why we're here, right? It's art. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be fun and relaxing. This can be quite time consuming. You can do this for a very long time. This is not necessarily a 15-minute, project, which is why I'll let it sit out all over my desk and then just come and go to it. And then, even as you get it all covered, then you can decide, oh, I just want to add another embroidery piece or applique, or maybe that's where I want to put a button, or, sew on some charms. Just so many different things. Okay. I think I might leave it at that. Because as I go to decorate it, embellish it, I can add other. I've got some little tiny, they might be up here. Oh, I thought they were here. Some little teeny tiny crocheted flowers that can be stuck on things. And also too much, but I want something there. I need some of those little tiny pieces. What's maybe just cut things down to match what you want. Right side, wrong side, doesn't matter. Okay. All right. So if I leave it at that, and then I can add any other kinds of designs on as I do it. Feels like a hot mess, Carrie, but really, when you get done and you get it tacked down, whether glue or floss or a thread, and then you put some embellishments on it, it'll look awesome. Which side is up? Okay. Like this, but in the color's kind of too bright. Kind of jumps out like that. I think I'm going to leave it at that and then wait to do some more as I embellish it. It leaves me, I've got some areas where I feel like it needs more, and so that will give me some obvious places to embellish and add to it. Okay. All right. So I am going to call it at that. We're at about an hour and a half. And then I'm going to put some straight pins in it just to hold it in place. And I might try this one on the sewing machine just for kicks and giggles. If I do, I'll be sure to let you know how that goes. Post what you have so far. Awesome. Going to take a couple days or so. Yep. That's totally okay. But post what you've got. Yeah. And your steps along the way. That's always pretty awesome. Okay. So I have on the super chat, I have Glynis and Carrie. Is that correct? Can you guys see? Did I miss anyone there? And if anyone else wants to get in the super chat, now is your last chance to do that, to support the channel with the super chat in any amount and get in the drawing for the flat rate envelope pack of stuff. Carrie, I think I have one more. I think there's one more pack of those Aquaflow. I think. That sound correct, Glynis? Okay. If that is correct, then I'm going to do something different today because there are just 2 people in the super chat, and I am going to offer both of you an envelope. So that way it isn't, 50-50 chance, that's pretty darn good, but let's make it 100% chance. And you can both have an envelope. I know that you've both won before and gotten some awesome stuff. I like putting in things that I know that you'll specifically like. So yeah, $10 shipping for each of you, and that I'll add some things to the envelope for you specifically. And let's just do both of you. Since there's only 2, you deserve it, and I appreciate you. Appreciate your support, and you deserve it. So awesome. Glad you like that. Okay. So yeah, you both know how to do the $10 shipping. So just do that, and I will go get them packed and labeled this afternoon. Actually, won't get Glynis's labeled. Although Glynis, your one box is ready to go. I'm just waiting for you to let me know that we can ship. Has postage started running again in Canada? I'll send you the amount that's left on the box for postage. You've already paid a lot of it, so there's only a small amount still due for postage on the box. So I can send you that amount, and I just haven't sealed it because I wanted to get some maple leaves in there. I'll get some in for you too, Carrie. And I'm trying to wait to put them in last minute before they go because I don't want them to just dry and crack or to mold. But they're starting to turn colors. They're turning orange and brown. I really wanted to get some of the green ones for you. So they're doing random deliveries. Okay, so do you think we can go ahead and send it? Do you think that's okay now? I will go in and see exactly what is left on the postage. I will send you that. And then let's try it. Who knows? If they have the package, maybe they can deliver it. If they don't have it, they for sure can't deliver it, right? So, all right. And Carrie, I'll get some maple leaves into your pack as well. Those are fun to doodle on. I'll see if I can fit some huge ones in there. Hopefully there's still some great big ones out there. They're falling off the tree. They're turning orange and yellow and and stuff. So, but there's still some green ones. We get some really gigantic maple leaves. So those are cool. All right, Glennis, and I'll go look that up and I'll send you that amount so you'll know what the remainder is. And then, so today's prize pack will start a new box for you, is basically where we're at. I'll let you know what's remaining on the last one, and then today's will start a new box. So you know what though? Probably the amount that it would take it takes to send your box, if it's full of these prize packs, that's probably equal in shipping to shipping each one of them individually in the US. So that's not bad. Not a bad deal at all. Little ones too. Okay. Big ones, little ones, I'm going to try to get you a whole variety of sizes, whatever, and get that still green, or at least still moist, so it won't just dry and crack and be a bunch of crumble when you get it. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today, and I really enjoyed this project. I hope that you do as well. Can't wait to see pictures of what you've done. I will complete this. I think I'm going to try this one on the sewing machine because I haven't done one on the sewing machine before. My others have all been done by hand, and but I can't wait to see what you've all done. So post your pictures. Definitely, I know it might take a couple of days to get them done, but you could, progress if you want. And it's inspiring to see what everybody else has done. And I need pictures in there to put up in the header, the Facebook header. So please post pictures of everything that you've made, that you're working on, all the stuff, so we have more pictures to use as the Facebook header. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you. Have a rest of a great day, and we'll see you next time. Bye.